Okay. Oh, could I bother you to close the door? Thanks. Okay. So welcome to our session this morning. We get started a little bit later, and if anyone who's joining us on the web, thanks for joining me. And we'll be talking a little bit today about offline speech recognition on mobile devices, low-power devices like your phone and your tablet that don't have a whole lot of CPU power, and maybe some specialized chips to do some speech recognition. And this is just something I do for a hobby, so I thought I just should sort of share it with you today and how this works. And so the first thing I'd like to talk about is speech reduction. And so this starts in an area of the brain called the Broca's area. Usually in right-hand individuals, it's on the left-hand side, 90% of those people. And this area is responsible for the muscular and sort of the diaphragm for controlling the speech and sending it out to all of you. And then this is for understanding the speech awareness area. And this is discovered by two folks. And so that they can correlate those signals to these parts of the brain. And so when you start to speak, when you have an idea, it travels from the prefrontal cortex to the Broca's area and then out the corticonuclear tract and then across the brainstem, through the brainstem, out the medulla oblongata, down the brainstem, and out this thing called the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is what carries the signals down to your larynx and so forth. And so it's interesting, it's kind of evolutionarily, if you look, this is sort of classic example of when we were fish, just went to gills and innervated all that stuff. But now it's stuck around this aorta, it has to come all the way back up. And so for giraffes, that goes all the way down and it comes all the way back up to innervate the larynx and this upper part of the trachea. And then we have, so this is the most important one, the left recurrent laryngeal nerve, right here. This goes up and it innervates the trachea. And so the trachea is this, is like a, so I have a little video I can show you how it works. So the trachea, there's these two flaps, right, with air that goes in and out, or it's just mostly out, and they're the vocal fort, the folds, and these folds will sort of contract. There's a little muscle that contracts it and makes them sort of become more taut and looser, and so. And so when you're speaking, these will generate this little the air comes out here, and it sort of this is, you're seeing a sort of stroboscopic effect here, but this is sort of rapidly opening and closing to generate these the words you hear right now. This is in the larynx, yes. Here you see the vocal folds in the center here, and then this is the right in the larynx. And this is a little camera they send down to see if there's anything wrong for singers and things like that. Okay, so out the larynx, and then it goes out the mouth, and it's formed by your lips and your tongue and your teeth to generate these the phonemes. So you have different phonemes, and then each of these phonemes will combine together to create words and sentences, things like that. And so on the speech processing side, you have some so it comes out and then it hits maybe your ear or something like this. Okay, and so I don't have a little diagram for this, but it's sort of very easy to describe. Microphones and things like that will have say. There's something that the sound waves come here, right? And then there'll be a microphone. usually, so in your year, this will hit there's some have to put their implant or something like this. It may not work the same way, but basically, like there's something that will vibrate back and forth. And in a microphone, there's usually like a magnet here, and then this will sort of go back and forth here. And then based on the expansion and contraction of the compression of the airway will sort of force this in and out, and then it will generate a signal that you can read from your device. And so that's what's happening right now. And then this is sort of being captured on my laptop right now. It's being sent out to however many people are watching this online. So that's the signals are traveling back and forth, and so in order to process them, we need something to get them from analog to digital, right? So let's turn this back on. Okay, and so usually this is done, and then you can write a speech recognizer for this, right? And the processing step is first. So when you're processing the audio, right, it may come in as just a raw stream of audio. These will be levels from the direct line, right, that you have from your audio device. And then from here, you can do some transformations to it. So first, you sort of want to block it out into these vectors, right? And then you'll have these windows of time that are maybe 100 milliseconds or something like this. And then you can break them down into these smaller and smaller intervals, right? Okay, so maybe let's just say it's 100 milliseconds. And then from here, you'll take something, the great thing, I mean, you're in signal processing, I mean, this is kind of like the fundamental algorithm in signal processing, the FFT, and then from there, it will be, so you have a waveform, right? And then you can transform this into a spectral sort of diagram. So you have your frequencies here and the volume or the amplitude on the y. So this is the basic transformation that you're going to do.
FFT is fast Fourier transform.
Fast Fourier transform, yes. And so just to sort of visualize that, you have your time here, and you have, so this is the raw signal, right? This is what you're hearing, and this is what the line level data is recording, and then you're going to want to, it just transforms it from the time domain to the frequency domain, right? And so if you want to visualize it in 3 dimensions, like there's different ways to do it, but you can imagine, like, if you combine this, there's going to be a nice little 3D graph, and you can show that as well. But usually it's represented with colors and things that look like this. Okay. So and then each of these things, right? So see here, here's someone saying Rice University on the bottom here, right? And here's the time and the frequency, and so this is a sort of heat map of where the amplitude is, and so the color red is higher amplitude, and green and blue is lower. So most of the data in voice, right, and your speech is somewhere between 50 hertz to maybe 10,000, right? And so there's this theorem, right, that says, well, if you want to capture all that stuff, then you have to sample at twice the frequency of the highest thing you're trying to get, right? So you want to get the peaks and the troughs. So you're sampling at, say, 100 hertz, and the signal you want to capture is at 100 hertz, then you won't get the signal. So you want to at least get twice the sampling rate of the highest frequency that you're trying to capture. So that's the Nyquist theorem, and so if you want to capture voice, then you have to have at least like 16 kilohertz or more, right? To get all the relevant data. So from here, this is what describes how this works, right? So there's some different ways you can window it. If you have a rectangular window, then it won't do any transformation. Usually what you want is this thing called a Hanning window. And so the Hanning window, it sort of tapers off at the end, and so it kind of discards the data at the end, right? And then you do your FFT after that. So this is
You say at the end, are you talking about lower and higher frequencies, or what is that?
no, this is time. So we're still talking in the time domain here. Sorry. So this is the raw signal, right? And then here, when you're doing the windowing, there's different ways to do it, but usually you just do something like this, and you make them overlap. So I'll describe how that. So here on the top, you say you're doing your windowing, and if you sort of did it like this, then you lose data, right? You can see in the bottom here. So when you're generating these spectral maps, right? Each of these each window of time, then you're going to want to have a few that are kind of overlapping, so that you capture. So each of these might have one phoneme, right? And then you're going to try to sort of capture that. And so to do that, you have to maybe it cuts off in the middle, right? So you want to capture. So you're trying to capture at least every single window of time. And so this is the way you can do that. So if you selected them sequentially, then it wouldn't work very well. So at this point, I'd like to. So from here, I'd like to go do a little code. I have my device here, and I'll just do a quick demonstration to show you what we're going to do, and then this is so if you'd like to learn more, then we have some references here. Okay. Okay, and so I'm not sure how this is, let's see, if anyone's watching online, then I'm going to switch my screen to the camera, and I'm going to move this over. Leave it like that. So in case anyone wants to watch. Okay, so here I have just a simple app, and we'll sort of show it off first. We'll show the result, and then we'll show how we made it. So this is just this button here at the bottom. This is all offline. We're online right now. So let's turn it offline. Okay, so we're not. Let's try. fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth to this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men were created equal.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth to this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men were created equal.
Okay, so that's.
This continent a new nation,
you can send it back.
Liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created.
Okay, so you can this is video screen. Yeah. Anyway, line, and this is using 15 megs of data. It's pre-computed. It's classic, and I have this on my device. And it's using this. So this was pulled down a little earlier. I think it comes default. You know, you have your default language is English, and you can download some other languages as well. And they might you see. They're not very large files. You see that the accuracy is pretty good for standard English, right? I have an app or something. very small set of classifier data, and we're talking about that a little earlier. But you don't need to, you can see the images here. Yes, sure, just feel free.
So, and really, you want to that very much.
Okay, yeah, so it's a good question, and I think so you don't want to, if you have you know, if you want your vocabulary has some nouns and verbs and that. Well, if you have